Discussing about resuscitation of a newborn. Okay, so this is the most important things over here. Okay, and then so what is pathophysiology of the asphyxia over here? Okay, so pathophysiology of asphyxia over here is what when the infant is deprived of oxygen. Okay, so when the infant is deprived of oxygen, an initial brief period of rapid breathing occurs. Okay, in response to deprived of oxygen, there is rapid breathing occurs. If asphyxia continues, respiratory movement keys and the infant enters into a period of apnea called as primary apnea. Okay, so what happens initially? There is primary apnea. During primary apnea, the heart rate begins to fall, neuromuscular tone gradually diminishes, but the blood pressure remains normal. In most instances, tactile stimulation during these periods will reinitiate respiration. Okay, so primary apnea, that is response with the help of what? With the help of tactile stimulation. Okay, so primary apnea can be stimulated with the help of tactile stimulations. Okay, and again we have here, we can see over here the asphyxia continues. Okay, the infant develops deep gasping respirations, the heart rate continues to decrease, the blood pressure begins to fall, and the infant becomes flaccid. Okay, if the asphyxia continues, the infant develops deep gasping respiration, the heart rate continues to decrease, the blood pressure begins to fall, and the infant becomes flaccid. Breathing becomes weaker until the infant gaps and entering into period of secondary apnea. Okay, so what happens? Asphyxia continues, infant develops deep gasping respiration, the heart rate continues to decrease. Okay, the blood pressure begins to fall, the infant becomes flaccid, the breathing becomes weaker until the infant gas enters into a second apnea. Okay, now the infant is now unresponsive to stimulations and does not spontaneously resume respiratory efforts unless resuscitation in the form of positive pressure ventilation is initiated. Okay, so we have to understand here when to start when to start two things, that stimulations or next thing is positive pressure ventilations. Okay, in secondary apnea we have to start with positive pressure ventilations. Okay, and then it is important to note that as a result of fetal hypoxia, an infant may go through the phases of primary and secondary apnea even in utero. Hence, apnea at birth may be primary or secondary apnea, and these two are clinically indistinguishable in both instances. The infant is not breathing, the heart rate may be below 100 beats per minute. Hence, when faced with an apneic infant at birth, one should assume that one is dealing with a secondary apnea and be ready to undertake full resuscitation efficiently without wasting too much of time in primary tactile stimulations. Okay, now let us talk about lung inflations. Okay, so lung inflation means during intrauterine life, the lungs do not take part in gas exchange, which is taken care of by the placenta. The lungs alveoli in the fetus are filled with the fluid secreted by type 2. Okay, type 2 alveolar cells. The process of fluid removal starts with onset of labor. The fluid gets reabsorbed from the alveoli into perivascular space and then brought into lymphatic channels. Okay, during intrauterine life, the lungs do not take part in gas exchange, which is taken care by the placenta. The lung alveoli in the fetus are filled with the fluid secreted by type 2 alveolar cells. Okay, the process of fluid removal starts with the onset of labor. The fluid gets reabsorbed from the alveoli into perivascular space and then to the blood and lymphatic channels. Process of labor may facilitate removal of lung fluid, and whereas removal is fluid when the labor is absent. Okay, whereas removal is slowed when the labor is absent. Suppose we are doing uh, cesarean delivery, means what? During intrauterine life, the lungs do not take part in gas exchange, which is taken care of by the placenta. Lungs alveoli in the fetus are filled with fluid secreted by type 2 alveolar cells. The process of fluid fill removal start with onset of labors. Okay, the fluid gets reabsorbed from the alveoli into alveolar space and then into blood and lymphatic channels during the phase of labors. If the labor phase doesn't occur, then what happens? The removal is slowed when labor is absent. Removal of lung fluid from the alveoli is facilitated by respiration soon after birth. Okay, the fourth few breaths after birth are effective in expanding the alveoli, replacing the lung fluid with air. Problems in ciliary lung fluid may occur in infants whose lungs have not inflated well with first few breaths. Okay, such as those who are apneic at birth and or have a weak initial respiratory effort is prematurity or sedations. Okay, so this is the things over here. Removal of lung fluid from the alveoli is facilitated by respiration soon after birth. The first few breaths after birth are effective in expanding the alveoli, replacing the lung fluid with air. Problems in clearing lung fluid may occur in infants whose lungs have not inflated well with the first few birth. Okay, few breaths, such as those who are apneic at birth or weak initial respiratory effort or is with prematurity or sedations. Okay, and pulmonary circulations. So oxygenation depends not only on air reachings okay, alveoli, but also pulmonary circulation. During intrauterine life, there is little blood flow in the lungs due to pulmonary vasoconstriction. After birth, pulmonary vasodilation takes place, resulting in falling pulmonary vascular resistance, increased blood flow in the pulmonary circuit. Okay, so what happens after birth? There is increased blood flow in the pulmonary circuits. As a result, what happens? There is fall in the pulmonary vascular resistance. This is expected infant as hypoxemia and acidosis. Okay, in the presence of hypoxemia and acidosis, the pulmonary arterioles remains constricted and doctor's arteries remains open. As long there is poor pulmonary blood flow, poor oxygenation of tissue of the body is impossible because there is inadequate uptake of oxygen even when the infant is being properly ventilated. Okay, this is the things over here. Okay, so cardiac function and systemic circulations, we have to monitor that things as well. Okay, and then preparing for resuscitations. Okay, so what are the requirement for resuscitation? You can see over here. Okay, these are the requirement for the neonatal resuscitation: suction equipment, mechanical suction catheters 10, 12, 14, meconium aspirator, bag and mask equipment, neonatal resuscitation bags, face masks, oxygen with flow meter and tubing, intubations equipments. We have laryngoscope with straight plates, number 0 for preterms and number 0 toms, extra bulbs and batteries for laryngoscope, endotracheal tubes, internal diameter of 2.5, 3.0, 3.5 and 4.0 mm. Medications, we have to use epinephrine, normal saline or lincoln naloxone hydrochloride or miscellaneous, that is line shoulder roll, gauze, lead and warmer, stethoscope, syringes 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50 ml, feeding tube, that is 6F, umbilical catheter, that is 3.5, 5F, 3-way stopcocks and gloves. Okay, so now let us do there are 4 way of resuscitation, that is TABC, that means temperatures, airway, breathing, circulations. Okay, we have Abgari score over here. So in Abgari score, we'll be looking 5 things, that is heart rate, respiration, muscle tone, reflex, irritability and color. Okay, we have 0, 1, 2. 2 means normals. Okay, normal things. And so 3 means heart rate that is more than 100 per beat per minute, strong cry, and in muscle tone there is active movement, reflex, irritability, cough or sneeze, color means complete tipping. Okay, this is normal things. Now abnormal begins from here. Heart rate slow, it's not 100. Okay, respirations we cry, muscle tones some flexions, flexibility means dryness, color means body pink, extremities blue. Okay, heart rate in 0 means absence, expression absence, muscle tone limb, flexibility no response, color blue or pale. Okay, this is the things over here. Now let us we have algorithm over here. Okay, this is one of the most important things. Okay, so let us start from here. So initially at birth, okay, we will looking 3 things, that is storm, either the baby is storm gestation, okay, or either the breathing is there or good tones. Okay, we can remember by the help of TBG. Okay, TBG. So first thing is either the um, Tom gestations, either there is birth, breathing or crying, or there is good tone. Okay, so these 3 things we have to look for. Yes, if there is yes, then what happens? We can do the normal procedure, that is done in normal delivery room or in normal center. Okay, they are provide warm, okay, routine care, clear airway if necessary, dry. Okay, keep with mothers, ongoing evaluations. Okay, that is the things over here. If no, there is no this stomach gestation, breathing or crying or good tones, then what happens? Provide warm, clear airway if necessary, dry estimate. Okay, so if there is no such things, then what happens? We have to provide warm, clear airway if necessary, dry estimate. Okay, heart rate below 100 means gasping or apnea. So heart rate below 100 means gasping or apnea. Okay, that the things over here. So we have done these things. Okay, if no, then we'll proceed further. So what happens? We'll be checking heart rate. Okay, that is to be done within 30 seconds. Okay, so if the heart rate below 100 means gasping or apnea means yes, what happens? We have to do positive pressure ventilations. Okay, so we have 2 things over here. Okay, one we have 2 things, that is called as primary apnea and the secondary apnea. Okay, so normally if the heart rate below 100, that means gasping or apnea, then what happens? This is secondary apnea. Okay, that means it is stimulated by the positive pressure ventilation. So what happens? We do positive pressure ventilation and the SpO2 monitoring. Okay, that is the things over here. And then so this means if these things is yes, this means we have to do this. If no means what? Normal things. So what happens? We have to labor breathing or persistent cyanosis, we have to suspect that things. Now again we have to clear airway, SpO2 monitoring, consider CPAP. Okay, that is the things over here. So again let us revise these things from beginning. So if the baby is storm, breathing or good tone, then what happens? Yes, they are these 3 things confirmed. This means what happens? The routine care we can do, that is we can assess. Okay, We can provide warm, clear airway if necessary, dry, keep with mothers, ongoing evaluations. Okay, no means provide warm, clear airway if necessary, dry subject. Okay, so that is the things over here. If again the heart rate is below 100 means what happens? Gasping or apnea, then what happens? We have to do positive pressure ventilation. Normally, positive pressure ventilation is done for secondary apnea. So this means they are undergone. This baby is already undergone. So secondary apnea means so already secondary apnea. So we have to do positive pressure ventilation. So, okay. So if that to be done, this four step must be done within 30 seconds. Okay. If the heart rate is below 100, then what happens? 100 means what happens? uh, we have to take ventilation, okay, in corrective step, okay. And then heart rate, that the things over here. So if heart rate is below 100 means what happens? So we have to do ventilations in corrective step, okay, the things. So if the heart rate below 60 means again we have to repeat the same things, okay, ventilation corrective steps. And then really if the heart rate is below 60, then what happens? We have to move further, okay. Now consider intubation, chest compressions, coordinate with positive pressure ventilations, okay. And then heart rate below 60 means what happens? We have to give IV epinephrine, okay. So just revise it again over here, okay. So means what? The term gestations, breathing or crying, good tone, provide a warm, clear airway if necessary, dry stimulate. Heart rate below 100 means gasping or apnea, positive pressure ventilation, SPO monitoring. Heart rate below 100, okay, take ventilation corrective steps. Heart rate below 60, consider intubation, chest compression, coordinate with positive pressure ventilations, heart rate 60, IV epinephrine. Again, okay, let us revise it again, okay, over here, okay. That means, so term gestation, breathing or crying, good to know what happens. We have to do routine care, okay, that is routine care. Term gestations, breathing or crying are good on that. We have to do routine care, okay. If no, then what happens? Provide warm, clear airway if necessary, dry stimulants, okay. That's the things over here. And then heart rate below on 100 means gasping or apnea means what happens? We have to do positive pressure ventilations or saturation monitoring. Heart rate below 100 means take ventilation corrective steps, okay. Heart rate below 60, okay, that is the things, okay. And then so if the heart rate is still less than 60, then what happens? We have to do consolidation, intubations, chest compressions, coordinate with positive pressure ventilations, okay. So consider intubations, chest compressions, coordinate with positive pressure ventilation. Heart rate below 60 means what happens? We have to give IV epinephrine, okay. So this is the things over here, okay. Our targeted saturation is over here. 1 minute 60 to 65 percentage, 2 minutes 65 to 70 percentage, 3 minutes 70 to 75 percentage, 4 minutes 75 to 80 percentage, 5 minutes 80 to 85 percentage, and 10 minutes 85 to 95 percentage, okay. This is the things over here. In this way we have completed part 1. We'll be discussing furthermore in part 2, okay. Thank you.